Parser abete perro begerto. Yeta perro begelo que comin. Macarnis beaderto. Yirs beabegelo que comin. Genes hajo catarrota arusanoto.
All right, so again, Debraim chapter 3, verse 23 through chapter 7, verse 11, Vek Hanan, and is the Parsha, name of the Parsha, and it's Isaiah chapter 40 through chapter 40, verse 1 through 26. So Deuteronomy 3 and 23. And I besought Yahweh at that time, saying, O Adonai Yahweh, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand. For what else is there in Shamayim or in earth that can do anything or according to your works and according to your strength? I petition you, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan, that goodly mountain in Lebanon. And so here you have Moses is begging the Most High to let him go and see the land. He's begging him to, is petitioning the Most High and asking him, can I please let me go see that goodly land in Lebanon and Jordan? But Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and would not listen to me. And Yahweh said to me, enough of this. Speak no more to me of this matter. And here you see Moses trying to blame the people, right? Trying to blame the people. And what does Yahweh tell him? Yahweh tells him, enough of this matter. Speak no more to me of this. I don't want to hear it. It's finito. It's final. Quit trying to blame the people. I told you to speak to the rock. You hit the rock. You didn't keep your composure. I don't care what the people did. You saw me killing the people off when they disobeyed you. I told you to speak to the rock. What you do? You hit the rock. Okay? So you disobeyed me in front of all the people. Verse 27. Get up into the top of Pisgah, and take a good look westward and northward and southward and eastward, for you will not be allowed to go over the Jordan. But I charge Yehoshua and encourage him and strengthen him, for he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which you see. Right? So he's talking about that generation that did not die, the generation that was kids that were now grown-ups. So now all the rest of the first generation died off, and he's telling them to go ahead and charge Joshua, son of Nun, encourage him, strengthen him, and then he was going to be the one that's going to lead these people. He's going to be the one that's going to be going in front of these people and lead these people. And I will cause him and the ones that follow him to inherit the land. So we abode in the valley over against Beth Peor. Right? Chapter 4, verse 1. Now therefore listen, O Israel, to the statutes and to the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live and go in and take over the land, which Yahweh Elohim of your avot, which is fathers, has given you. Right here we see, what does Moses tell them? He tells them to listen to the statutes and the judgments that Moses taught them. And then not only that, to do them. And listen, they're still not even in the land yet. They're still not even in the land yet. They have not crossed the border. They have not crossed over into the land. And Moses is telling them, everything that I taught you, remember and to do. Right? One, that you may live. Two, and go in and take over the land. So see, they're outside the land. So in order for them to even take the land, they had to start keeping those commandments. That's why that generation had to die off. And that also goes to show people that, the Torah is tied to a land. The Torah laws is tied to the land. We in the land of polluted land and not enemy. We can't keep the Torah laws and this and that. That's false and erroneous. All right, verse 2. You shall not add to the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your power, which I command you. Right? So right here, it says we must not add to Yahweh's laws. right? And you can see that in Proverbs 30:6, Deuteronomy 12:32. Okay, you do not add to the Most High's laws at all. That's one of the reasons why I teach y'all biblical Hebrew, so you can see it in its original context, so you don't be adding to or taking away from the Torah. Verse 3. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, Yahweh your power has destroyed them from among you. Right? These were doctrines of seduction that many in the churches in the Israelite world engage in, such as partners sleeping together without marriage, saying it is okay to eat unclean meats, and breaking Yahweh's rules to appease denominationalism. All right? Again, your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, Yahweh your power has destroyed them from among you. But you that did remain trustworthy to Yahweh your power are alive, every one of you to this day. Right? The only thing that guarantees us life on this earth is our trustworthiness to Yahweh, Yahweh alone, and his Torah. Right? Anything else like that, anything else, you chancing your life with sicknesses and a shorter lifespan than what you're supposed to have. Because why? Moses told you in Deuteronomy chapter 30, and I think it is 19, maybe 15, to choose life that you may live. Choose life that you may live, that you and your seed may live, right? And the life is the Torah. You go in the book of Psalms, and it tells you that our Torah is thy light. The Torah is life. Verse 4 again. But you that did remain trustworthy to Yahweh your power are alive, every one of you to this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes, 1, and judgments, 2, even as Yahweh my power commanded me. So it's two things that Moses is telling you that he would taught you, that Yahweh taught him to teach you and told him to teach you in Israel. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land which you are about to enter and possess. And you shall guard them and to do them. For this is your wisdom. Right? Man-made wisdom is foolishness, while guarding and keeping the commandments of Yahweh is what really sets us apart and makes us wise and understanding people. What does he say? Does he say go and evangelize? Does he say that the people will see your walk, they will see everything about you and say this is a wise and understanding people? Or does he say go out, evangelize, preach on the street? It doesn't say that at all. Verse 6 again. And you shall guard them and do them. So you got to guard the commandments, the Torah, and you have to actively do the Torah. And you shall guard them and do them. For this is your wisdom. This is where you get your wisdom from. And your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear at these statutes, and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So who do you think this is talking about right here when it says that this people is a great nation, is a wise and understanding people? It's talking about the Torah keepers. Torah keepers. That's what it's talking about. Verse 7. For what nation is there so great, who has Elohim so close to them as Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that his statutes and judgments so right ruling, so all this Torah is all this Torah? which I set before you this day. So Moses is asking them a question. What nation is there so great? Who has Elohim so close to them as Yahweh our power is in all things? Not some, not half, but in all things that we call upon him for. Right? And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments, so right ruling as all this Torah, which I set before you this day? Israel is a tiny nation that has defied many bigger nations over the time. Right? In history, you see that, and it's all throughout the Torah. The Most High takes a small few, and he goes and he destroys bigger, larger armies and protects Israel. Okay? Right? You have to be trustworthy to his Torah. You look at the other nations, they try to emulate it, they try to copy it, but they add to it. Case in point, Islam. People will tell you in Islam, oh, it's just like the Torah, it's just like this and that. Well, that's because it is a copied version of it with additions added to it and things taken away. Verse 9. Only pay careful attention, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them to your sons and your sons' sons. Why would Moses say that? Because we have a tendency to forget miracles, but our belief must be steadfast, irrespective of miracles or not. This was one of Israel's chief problems. They saw with their eyes, but later forgot all about it and went whoring elsewhere, chasing other Elohims, other gods. Idolatry. Verse 10. Especially the day that you stood before Yahweh your power in Horeb, where Yahweh said to me, gather to me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. What happened? He came down, and it started thundering and lightning. The ground shook, and they heard his voice, and they trembled. It wasn't in their head. They heard an actual voice. All these people, Most High told me to tell you, okay, well, what does his voice sound like? And why you wasn't trembling with fear? Verse 11. And you came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the midst of Shemaim, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. Right? Not just darkness, but thick darkness. So light can only be seen in darkness. Hence the esteem of Yahweh was manifested. Because what does it say? And you came down and stood on the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the midst of heavens with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. Why? Because, like it says, light can only be seen in darkness. He shines through the darkness. He is the light. The same thing that Torah does amongst the world today. It is the light that shines through darkness. Verse 12. And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only you heard a voice. That's why I keep asking people. Don't tell me what you say Yahweh told you. What does his voice sound like? Did you hear a voice? And I ain't talking about no voice in the head. Like how I'm talking to you and you heard my voice. Did you hear Most High's voice like that? Samuel did. And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only you heard a voice. And he declared to you his contract agreements, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tablets of stone. Right? So right here we see that what some scholars call the Sinaitic contract, where he gave them the 10 commandments, and he through Moshe, and on the 2 tablets of stone. Verse 14. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments. So did Moses do that on his own? Did Moses do that on his own? Verse 14. And Yahweh commanded me at that time, not before, not while they was in Egypt, but at that time, to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land where you go over to enter and possess it. Take you therefore good heed to yourselves. So listen up. Take heed to yourselves. For you saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahweh spoke to you in Horeb, out of the midst of the fire. Lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female. Right? So right here, what he's showing you, any form of idol worship, whether it's Mary's statue or some other statue, as in a cow, horse, snake, dog, or a rock, is forbidden, as these were worshipped by heathen nations, and today many still continue these practices under different names. Okay? Under different names. Verse 17. The likeness of any animal that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the earth. And you have some nations worship animals and call the animals powers or Elohim. Yet they are only made with hands by humans to earn money. And he continues in verse 18. The likeness of anything that crawls on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the mayim beneath the arets. So any fish that is in the water beneath the earth. Unless you lift up your eyes to Shemayim, to the heavens, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of Shemayim should even be driven to pay homage to them. And yes, it is some nations today that still worship the sun and the moon. To pay homage to them and serve them, which Yahweh your power has divided to all nations under the heavens. So Yah gave all the other nations that. That's y'all's portion. The made up gods that you make up with your hands, with your own philosophies, etc. That's not Israel's portion. Israel's portion is Yah and Yah alone. The rock, the most high. Alright. Let's see. Verse 20. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Mitzrayim, which is Egypt, to be to him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. Furthermore, Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and swore that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go into the good land, which Yahweh your power gives you for an inheritance. Moses still blaming them. Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes. No, he was angry with you for your sakes, because you was angry at the people. Alright? Verse 22. but I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan, but you shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed to yourselves, lest you forget the contract or agreement of Yahweh your lest you forget the contract agreement of Yahweh your power, which he made with you, and make you a graven image or the likeness of anything which Yahweh your power has forbidden you. For Yahweh your power is a consuming fire, even the jealous El. When you shall produce children and grandchildren, and you shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahweh your power to provoke him to anger, I call the heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto you go over the Jordan to possess it. You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. So Moses right here is saying he calls the heaven and the earth to witness exactly what he's saying right now. So heaven, so the earth and the Shemayim bear witness to what Moses told Israel that day. So the day of judgment, who's the witness? Heaven and earth. Heaven and earth. Gonna bear witness of everything that took place on it throughout the time of its history. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen. Right? Yahweh did scatter us, and when we find Hebrew people, we left few in number amongst the different nations. However, the northern Israel was absorbed into the nations, and they lost their identity. That's why they will look drastically different than us. Okay, they was taken into the lands of the Assyrians and beyond, and they were taken around into that area. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen, where Yahweh shall lead you. And there you shall serve powers, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from now on you shall seek Yahweh your power. Notice how it's specific who tells you who to seek, right? Don't tell you to seek the anybody else. It tells you to seek the Most High. Doesn't say seek Christ or anything like that. It says seek Yahweh your power. You shall find him if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. So you have a lot of people that's out here seeking the Most High, but they don't understand they're not seeking him with all their heart, with all their soul. They're giving his glory and stuff to another, and they are interpolating his words of his prophets that he told to his prophets, among other things. And they're not understanding and wondering why their life is still hell. It's because your heart is not all the way turned to the Most High. What did he say? These people worship me with their lips. They do all the crying and praising, all this and that, all the so-and-so hype, hooping and hollering, this and that. But when it comes down to it, they pray in somebody else's name. They give the glory to somebody else. What do they say? In the name of Yahushua. All glory and honor and praises in the name of Yahushua. It's not in the name of Yahweh. It's in the name of Christ. They worship me with their lips, but their hearts far from me. What did he say right here? Verse 29. But if from now on you shall seek Yahweh your power, not Christ your power, not Muhammad your power, Not Joseph from Latter-day Saints, your power. Yahweh, your power. You shall find him if you seek him with all your heart. There's conditions to that. You can't halfway, your heart can't halfway be on the Most High. It can't be a third on the Most High. It has to be all the way. Because what does he say right here? You will find him. And then there's a conditional clause right here. If, conditional clause, you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. So I often sit back and wonder and be like, man, how can these people not see this right here? Even in the English grammar, it is showing you that these prophecies, those so-called prophecies of Christ, is not prophecies of Christ. But when you sit here and you look at this verse of 29, when he says that it's a conditional clause, that you have to seek him with all your heart and with all your soul before he lets you find him. It's right here in verse 29. But if from now on you shall seek Yahweh your power, you shall find him. If, conditional clause, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, your nefesh. Verse 30. In the latter days, in what days? In the latter days. We in the last days. We in the latter days. In the latter days, when days of distress come upon you, and if you will turn around to repentance to Yahweh, your power, and shall be obedient to his voice. Does it say the sacrifice? Do it say to believe in a fictional man-made son? That when he already said that Israel was your son, was the son? Or what does it say in the latter days? When days of distress come upon you, and if you will turn around to repentance. No, I think you got it wrong, brother. It says you must sacrifice. When you turn around to repentance, to who? To Yahweh, your power, and shall be obedient to his voice. Way back here in Deuteronomy, Moses is telling you obedience is better than sacrifice. Way back here in Deuteronomy, Moshe, the greatest prophet in Israel, is telling you obedience is better than sacrifice. He told you that right here, verse 30. Let me read it again so it sink in. In the latter days, did he say in today's day? Meaning first person in that day and time that he's speaking? Did he say that, well, no, when Israel decides to get them a king in those days? Did he say in the days that Israel was going to be carried in the first captivity? No. He says in the latter days. Verse 30. In the latter days, when days of distress come upon you, and if you will turn around to repentance to Yahweh your power, and shall be obedient to his voice. What does obedient to his voice mean? It means keeping Torah, keeping Torah, keeping Torah. Verse 31. For Yahweh your power is a merciful El. He will not forsake you, neither destroy you, neither forget the contract agreement of your fathers, which he swore to them. The whole thing is a contract and an agreement between Abraham and the Most High. Abraham, if your children keep my laws, my statutes, and the things that I show you and the things that I show them, I will have the contract with you that I will protect them. They will be prosperous and I will be their power. I will be a hedge over them. I will be an umbrella over them and their land. And any nation that tries to attack them, I will repel. Anything bad that tries to come to them, I will repel. I will shower them with nothing but goodness and prosperity. That was the contract and the agreement. But you must keep the laws, Abraham. You, your descendants that come after you. Or you break the agreement and the contract. For Yahweh your power is a merciful El. He will not forsake you, neither destroy you, nor forget the contract agreement of your fathers, which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Elohim created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven to the other, whether there has been any such thing as great thing is. Has there been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like? Did ever people hear the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of a fire, as you have heard, and live? Israel was and is the only nation with the special contracts that Yahweh formed. Yes, there are Israelites out of the land, but Yahweh does not know or have any agreement with heathens, but only the Israelites, even while they are in the nations. Many Christians who are in the nations are unaware that they are biological Israel, right? And that was us at one point in time. We were in Christianity till we found out we was Israel. While Gentiles, who were once heathens, were grafted into Israel by belief. And that is in the Old Testament as well. This is not even New Testament, Old Testament. The Gentiles have salvation if they do certain things. All right, they are both part of Israel and not any man-made church. Okay, denominationalism was Hasatan's way of keeping people separated and fighting over little things. Yahweh does not recognize any denomination but Israel. Okay, all those Episcopals, Jehovah's Witnesses, etc. Most of I don't recognize none of that. Don't recognize none of that crap. All right, back to verse 34. Or has Elohim before tried to take a nation from the midst of another nation by trials, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors? So he makes a good point right here, Moshe does. Has Elohim before tried to take a nation from the midst of another nation? And that's what he did. We was inside of Egypt, and we did have trials. He did do signs, pillar of cloud at night, a fire at night, and by wonders, parting the Red Sea. And he did do it by war. Everything that Moshe has labeled right here, the Most High did do in front of Israel. It was no secret. No secret at all. And by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yahweh your power did for you in Mitzrayim, before your eyes, before your enim, before your eyes. Verse 35. Only you were picked so that you might know that Yahweh, he is Elohim. There is none else besides him. None. And how many times do people tell you that, oh, he sits at the right hand of the Father? He sits at the right hand of the Father. The Most High and Moshe done told you, Isaiah 43:11, and you have it again right here. Only you were picked so that you might know Yahweh, he is Elohim. There is none else beside him. So all those other people pushing those doctrines, talking about, oh, he sit beside the right hand of the Father and this and that. Man, take them heathen doctrines on. You don't study the Torah at all. You read it like a book. Verse 36. At a Shemayim, he made you, not everybody else, not all the other nations. He made you to hear his voice, that he might instruct you. That's what the Torah means. Instructions. Instructions. That he might instruct you, and upon earth he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, Therefore he chose their seed after them. And he indeed loved our forefathers and the patriarchal order that some people hate today. Right? So if you look back in here, you see all throughout that he loved Abraham, he loved Isaac, and he loved Jacob. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, to drive out nations from before you, greater and mightier than you are, to bring you in, to give you their land for an inheritance, as it is this day. Realize this from today. From this very point forward, Moshe is telling them, realize this from today, and carefully consider it in your heart, that Yahweh, he is Elohim, in the Shamayim above, and upon the earth beneath. There is none else. Moses reiterates it again, and he tells you again. And this time he adds the earth. Anybody that's walking on the earth that claims to be some demigod or this and that, he's telling you again. Because Moshe was shown everything. Realize this from today, and carefully consider it in your heart, that Yahweh, he is Elohim in the heavens above, and he is Elohim upon the earth beneath. There is none else. None else. And you shall keep, therefore, his statutes. Is it Moshe's statutes? Is it anything when brothers or sisters try to correct brothers and be like, hey, well, the law say this? Oh, that's just your interpretation. That's just your this and that. It ain't my statutes. Who is the his right here when it says you shall keep, therefore, his statutes and his commandments? The his is Yahweh, which I command you this day, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, that you may prolong your days upon the earth, which Yahweh your power gives you forever. Now, you have here people, all with the Torah laws is just tied to the land. The Torah laws is tied to the land. Right here, Moses tell you. What did Moshe Rabbeinu tell you? Did he tell you to passively keep them? Did he tell you that, you pick and choose? You shall keep, therefore, his statutes and his commandments, which I commanded you this day. Why? Why should we keep that, Moshe Rabbeinu? That it may go well with you, that's one, and with your children after you. You don't care about your children? You don't care about your great-grandchildren? You don't care about your lineage? You want your lineage to struggle and to have bad times and to have a hard life, and then wondering why everything is so terrible and bad, why everything they do, they can't succeed? Keep on. Tell people not to keep the commandments over here because the land polluted, etc. Tell people you ain't got to do all that type of stuff. And watch your children and grandchildren have the damnedest times in life. That it may go well with you and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days upon earth. They sit there and ask people, oh, she's 102 years old. He's 103. What was the secret of you living so long? Drinking coffee. Are you serious? Yah said if you kept his statutes and commandments, you prolong your days on the earth, which Yahweh your power gives you forever. Verse 41. Then Moshe selected 3 cities on this side of the Jordan, toward the sun's rising. So it was on the east side of the Jordan because the sun rises from the east. Verse 42. Anyone who accidentally killed someone without hatred might flee there. and that fleeing into one of these cities he might be safe, namely Bezer in the wilderness, in the plain country of the Reubeni, and Ramoth in Gilead of the Gadi, and Golan in Bashan of the Manassites. And this is the Torah which Moshe set before the children of Israel. These are the what? 1. Testimonies. 2. And the statutes. 3. And the judgments, which Moshe spoke to the children of Israel after they came forth out of Egypt. So 3 things Moses gave. He gave statutes, he gave judgments, and testimonies. Verse 46. On this side of the Jordan, in the valley, over against Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, sovereign king of the Amori, who dwelt in Heshbon, whom Moshe and the children of Israel smote after they came forth of Egypt. And they possessed his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amori, which were on this side of the Jordan toward the rising sun. From Aror, which is by the bank of the river Arnon, even to the Mount Zion, which is Hermon, and all the plain on this side of Jordan eastward, even to the sea of the plain under the springs of Pisgah. All right, so chapter 5. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that you may learn them and keep and do them. Tell people all the time, you can hear the statutes and commandments all day you want to, but if you ain't doing them, then the Most High don't care. You on the list, marked for death. You ain't getting the top. Everybody be all dressed out, decked out, looking pretty and cute, and looking handsome in their garments and this and that, but they picking and choosing what commandments and statutes and judgments they want to do. Now, some judgments you can't do because they involve death, and we're not in our nation. Most High understands that. But everything that you can do, you should be doing it. Should be doing it. No hesitation. Verse 2, 5 and 2. Yahweh our power made a contract agreement with us here in Horeb. Yahweh made not this contract and agreement with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahweh talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time, to bring you the word of Yahweh. For you were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am Yahweh your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of slavery. You shall have no other powers before me. You shall not make you any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh your power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing loving kindness to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. You shall not speak the name of Yahweh your power in oaths falsely. Yahweh will not hold him guiltless who takes his name and falsifies it or empties it by replacing it with another name. All those that be giving his glory to and mentioning the Yahweh Shai and all this other stuff in the same breath and sentence as the Most High. Man, I feel the day of judgment is gonna be wicked for y'all, man. It's gonna be a lot of y'all on the day of judgment is gonna have the surprise, shocked face. You shall not speak the name of Yahweh your power in oaths falsely. Yahweh will not hold him guiltless who takes his name and falsifies it or empties it by replacing it with another name. Think about all these people talking about, when Yahweh told me to tell you this, Yahweh told me to say that, Yahweh this and that, Yahweh told me this and so and so, so and so. Man, y'all falsifying it. You just committing sin after sin after sin, just lying. Just flat out lying. Because he hadn't told you anything. It's your own inside, your own emotional inner being is doing that. Verse 12. Guard the Sabbath day, to set it apart as Yahweh your power has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your power. In it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your maid servant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle, nor the foreigner that is within your gates, that your male servant and your maid servant may rest well as you. So they're supposed to have the same type of rest as you have on the Shabbat Sabbath day. Okay? The same type rest. The exact same type rest. Now I want to go back to something over here. I want that I didn't say in chapter 5, verse 8, where it says, "You shall not make any graven image." No idol to represent our rock, our power, our Elohim in heaven. No idol. This is a practice the nations do. And these idols do not answer and are without any authority or power. They cannot even blow a fly off of themselves. Bowing down to any man-made statue is a grave transgression. And that includes bowing down to the rock over there in Mecca and to the statue of Mary, as many do. This is still true today. As for those who hate Yahweh, usually their children grow up to hate Yahweh too. Right? And that is in reference to where it says he visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generation. That is why. Because the apple does not fall far from the tree. Right? Those who hate Yahweh and hate his ways and cherry pick his laws, their children do the same thing. Because the apple don't fall far from the tree. This is still true today for those who hate Yahweh. Usually their children grow up to hate Yahweh too. So the judgments pass to the children. But if the children repent, the judgments will not pass on to them. They can break the curse by repenting and asking for forgiveness for what their forefathers did. Right? Now in verse 10, where it says he's showing love and kindness to thousands of them that love him and keep his commandments. What I have to say about that is, if you want mercy from Yahweh, then keep the Torah that Moshe gave to Israel. If you don't care about the mercy, this and that, you endure the punishments, and you don't care about any of that, hey, do as thou wilt, is what the Satanists say. That's why they get it from. In chapter 5, verse 12, which says, "Guard the Sabbath day to set it apart as Yahweh your power has commanded you." Okay, it is Yahweh's Sabbath. It is not a man-made Sabbath. It is not man's Sabbath. And not man's decision to decide on what day it should be. The 7th day is the Shabbat day, which, all right, and that is what the heathens call Saturday. All right, they changed the dates, but they didn't change the day. So people talk about, oh, this and that. It is Yahweh's Sabbath. It is not Sabbath. It's not the land Sabbath. It's not any of that. Any of that. And then in verse 14, 5 and 14, where it says, "But the 7th day is the Sabbath day of Yahweh, your power. It is in it you shall not do any work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your maid servant." This shows you right here that even servants are to be given the Sabbath off. So you cannot have Gentiles working while you're resting. Right? So if you have a business and stuff like that, and you resting on the Sabbath day, and you got, people that's working for you, you need to be letting them off too as well. All right? You need to be letting them off too as well. And it says, "Nor any of your cattle." Even the animals are given a day of rest. nor the foreigners that is within your gates, that your male servant and your maid servant may rest well as you. Verse 15. And remember that you were a servant in the land of Mizraim, and that Yahweh your power brought you out of these through a mighty hand and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yahweh your power commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Right? So why? Because Israel was released on a high set apart Sabbath day from Egypt. Right? And that same day that they were released from Egypt was to be the Passover. 16. Respect your father and your mother, as Yahweh your power has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahweh your power is about to give you. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, neither shall you steal, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. All right. I see many in and outside of the Israelite faith bearing false witness. Yet this is very evil when a brother or sister speaks lies against another for gain, pride, and ego. And this is called Lashon Hara, evil speak, evil tongue. Verse 21. Neither shall you desire your neighbor's wife, neither shall you covet your neighbor's house, his field, or his male servant, or his maid servant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. These words Yahweh spoke to all your assembly in the mount, out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness, with a great voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And it came to pass, when you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that you came near to me, even all the chiefs of your tribes and your elders. And you said, Behold, Yahweh our power has showed us his esteem and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day, not yesterday, this day, that Elohim will talk with man and he lives. So, right, the Israelites were under the impression that even hearing the voice of Yahweh would kill a man. But that's why they say that we have seen this day that Yahweh will talk with man and he lives. Because, they thought that, back then, they thought that hearing the Most High's voice, he was going to kill you. Now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us if we hear the voice of Yahweh our power anymore. Then we shall die. See, case in point. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living Elohim speak out of the midst of fire, as we have and lived? You go near and hear all that Yahweh our power shall say, and speak to us all that Yahweh our power shall speak to you, and we will hear it and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words, when you spoke to me, and Yahweh said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me, and keep all my commandments always. Some of the times, no, always. You ain't got to keep them because you're in captivity. Always. That it might be well with them and with their children, le'olam. The children olam. Forever. Go say to them, return into your tents again. But as for you, stand here by me, and I will speak to you all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which you shall teach them, that they may do them in the land which I gave them to possess it. You shall observe to do, therefore, as Yahweh your power has commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. The words right and left are too much to the right. Right and the left, too much to the right means too much tendency to the judgment side, while too much to the left is tendency to the mercy side. We must be balanced in the middle, united by the Torah, right? Because the Most High is telling you must walk the straight and narrow. Don't turn from the right, don't turn from the left. But why do you say that, Moreh Araya? Because what does he tell you? If a man that's righteous commits one sin, he falls from it. All his righteousness won't be counted for him in the day that he sinned. So you can't turn from the right or to the left. You have to walk the straight and narrow. The straight and narrow. Verse 33. You shall have your halakha, your laws, and all your halachot, which Yahweh your power has commanded you, that you may live and that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days in the land which you shall possess. All right, so what is halakha? Commandment keeping, and halachot is the commandments of Torah that Yahweh expects every Israelite to keep, right? Every Israelite to keep. Dispensationalism is the disease that has caused many to go into error over Torah. Chapter 6, verse 1. These are the commandments, 1, the statutes, 2, and the judgments, 3, which Yahweh your power commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you are going to enter and possess it, that you might fear Yahweh your power to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. Right? That your days may be prolonged. So if you want to live a long life, keep the Torah. You want to live long, keep the Torah. Keep the Torah. Honor the Torah, guard the Torah, and you will have a prolonged life. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has promised you in the land that flows with milk and honey. Right? In the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, and this is the Shema, right? Right here that we say that we're supposed to command it to say, which is Shema Yisrael, Yireh Wachei Eloheinu, Yireh Wachei Echad. Baruch Shem Kavak Maktul Elam Va'et. We're about to read this part right now. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Supreme One, Yahweh is Echad. And you shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Right? So what is that? That shows you the three prayers, right? Morning, noon, and evening. Morning, noon, and evening. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your enim, your eyes. And this is where you see the Ashkenazi Jews, where they have the little boxes on their head and stuff. It's called a tefillin, and this is what they're doing. They are, quote unquote, binding the Torah between their frontlets. That's why they wear the boxes on their heads in between the eyes. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to fulfill that commandment. I mean, you see that. For those that don't know. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahweh your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob, to give you great and goodly cities which you did not build, and houses full of good things which you filled not, and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, when you shall have eaten and be full. Then beware lest you forget Yahweh, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of slavery. Right? Now, when we were saved, we were really in the house of slavery. No matter what religious background we may come out of, it is only Torah that truly sets us free, with Yahweh as our head and our rock. Okay? The Torah is the only way you can really get set free. You shall fear Yahweh your power and serve him and swear by his name. Verse 13. Again. You shall fear Yahweh your power and serve him and shall swear by his name. We are commanded to swear only in the Most High's name if we're taking an oath. All right, if you're taking an oath, like telling a brother or sister, I pledge to take care of whatever item that you left here in my care while you're gone. I pledge to look after it. Then you have to put the Most High's name on that, because you be held accountable. Verse 14. You shall not go out after other gods, or other gods of the people which are round about you. The people of the religion that is round about Israel today is Islam, right? So taking the name of Allah taking the name of Allah is a transgression, and many have a lot of Israelites that are in America that follow Islam as well. Okay, and there is major transgression, because what they will tell you is that Allah, it comes from the Hebrew word Eloah, which it kind of does, but it's corrupted. It's a corrupted form. A corrupted form of Allah, and that Allah is associated with the moon god. All right, and they associate their Allah with the moon god, even though they took a corrupted word from Hebrew that actually means God, because Eloah means God, and they took that, corrupted that in the Arabic, and called it Allah, and then put it to their moon god. All right, and so we're back here at 15. For Yahweh your power is a jealous El among you, lest the anger of Yahweh your power be kindled against you, and destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahweh your power as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh your power, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he has commanded you. So what did Moshe say? Diligently keep the commandments. Diligently keep his testimonies. Diligently keep his statutes that he commanded you. And you shall do that which is right and good in the sight of Yahweh. Did he say in the sight of the nations, in the sight of the people? No. Do what is right and what is good in the sight of Yahweh. So that means Yahweh sees everything all the time. So that means you must do right and what is good in his eyes all the time, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the good land which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to cast out all your enemies from before you, as Yahweh has spoken. And when your son asks you in the later times, saying, what mean the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Yahweh our power has commanded you? Then you shall say to your son, we were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And Yahweh sent signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from there, that he might bring us in to give us the land which he swore to our fathers. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh. To say fear anybody else? To say fear the disciples, fear Christ? No, fear Yahweh. Fear Buddha? Nope, fear Yahweh. To fear Yahweh our power, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is this day. And it shall be our right ruling if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our power, as he commanded us. Chapter 7, verse 1. When Yahweh your power shall bring you into the land where you go in to possess it, and he has cast out many nations before you, the Hittite, the Girgashi, the Amori, the Hanani, and the Perzi, and the Chuvi, and the Yabusi, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yahweh your power shall hand them before you, you shall conquer them, and utterly destroy them. You shall make no contract agreement with them, nor show loving kindness to them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give to his son, nor his daughter shall you take to your son, for they will turn away your son from following me. And you have that today. You have that today. We have a lot of people who you know, think about it right now. With us being Old Testament only, and majority of the Israelite community believes in Christ in the New Testament. Think about this right here. Right? Think about this. What does he say? They will turn them away from following me. And what do those people do? They are, everything that they do, they attribute and give to Christ. They attribute everything to Christ. Christ did this. Christ was the Savior. Christ so and so. Christ built the world. Christ is the Most High. Christ this and that. Everything. All these people that's been taken away from actually following the Most High. And who did it? It was by them intermingling with the other nations. Because Christianity comes from the heathens. It comes from the Greeks and the heathens and the Roman Catholics. We started integrating with them, and integrating with their daughters and sons and this and that. And next thing you know, the whole black community is talking about Christianity. It's crazy. For they will turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other Elohim. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. I don't know why. I just keep praying. I don't know why bad things keep happening to me. I don't know why I just can't get over the hump. I don't know why I keep having this sickness and this and that and so and so and so and so. Well, maybe it's the person you're praying to. You're praying to the wrong God. Have you thought about that? Instead, this is what you must do to them. You shall tear down their altars and shatter down their pillars, and cut down their Asherah poles, and burn their idols. Now, y'all remember back a couple of years ago when the Taliban, what they were doing to the Christians and stuff like that in Syria and etc. to the Christ believers? What were they doing? Coming in, blowing up their holy places, tearing down their shrines, tearing down their photos and this and that. And people didn't understand that you know, because a lot of people don't understand that the Quran is just really a copy of the Torah, just corrupted. This is where they got that down from. Now imagine Israelites coming in and tearing down photos of Christ, statues of Christ, blowing them up. Y'all would call them crazy. Y'all would call them evil, etc., etc. But it's right here in chapter 7 of Deuteronomy. This is why I tell people your belief is different than what Yahweh's words say. Instead, this is what you must do to them. You shall tear down their altars, shatter down their pillars, and cut down their Asherah poles, and burn their idols. For you are a set apart people to Yahweh your power. Yahweh, your power, has chosen you to be a treasured possession to himself above all the people that were over the face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people. you were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn to your fathers, has Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahweh your power, he is Elohim, the trustworthy El, which keeps contracts and agreements and unmerited favor with them that love him, and guard his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays those of them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him. He will repay him to his face. You shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day to do them. Why, Moshe? Because to refuse to keep the statutes, to refuse to keep the commandments, to refuse to keep the judgments, to cherry pick the statutes, to cherry pick the judgments, to cherry pick the commandments, is akin to hating the Most High. Anything the Most High said is perfect. Everything that he gave Israel was perfect. So for you to sit there and to cherry pick, or to say you don't want to do this commandment, or this commandment ain't for me, and this, etc., you are literally telling the Most High, I know better than you. You flicking them off. You hate them. So when I tell people, I tell people, hey, this is the correction, this is so and so and so and so. That ain't so and so, this and that. Oh, okay, well, you hate the Most High. I don't hate the Most High. Yes, you do, because you don't want to keep his commandments. You was given a correction, but what did you tell me? That ain't for you. Okay, well, it ain't for you. None of this is for you. And by default, you hate the Most High. It's a whole lot of feelings and emotions going on. And I blame the men, because the men don't stand up and drop their nuts and start putting people in their place. And start guarding these Torah how it's supposed to be guarded, and teaching this Torah how it's supposed to be taught. There's too much appeasement going on. Too much appeasement. And that appeasement is what's going to get a lot of people killed. A lot of people killed. A lot of people not being able to come into the land. Because they were too busy getting appeased instead of reading what thus says Yahweh said, and changing their heart, changing their beliefs, and changing their mind frames. Now, it's time to go to the prophets. We will go to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 40. And we're going to read verses 1 through 26. All right? So that was the half Torah portion. And now we're going to the prophets that coincides with that Torah portion. Comfort you, my people, says your power. You speak comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry to her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned. Again, no sacrifice. Most High already pardoned, already took away your sins as soon as you repent. That's why he keeps telling you just to repent, because I already set provisions for me to accept, wipe away your clay sling. I've already said I was going to do that. So I'm just waiting on y'all to repent and come back to me. That's it. You speak comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry to her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned. For she has received of Yahweh's hand double for all her transgressions. The voice of him that cries in the wilderness, prepare you the way of Yahweh. And in the wilderness is what it's talking about. The Tav, you go watch that video, Tav, the shepherd's mark. I show you that the Most High, Yahweh, is separating people right now in the wilderness of the nations. And so every nation the Israelite is in, they are being separated, they are being marked, and he is marking those that are his. And the rest of the night that he's not marking, he's going to toss away. The voice of him that cries in the wilderness, prepare you the way of Yahweh. Make straight in the wilderness a highway for our power. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low. And the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the esteem of Yahweh shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it. The voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness there is as the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, because the ruach of Yahweh blows upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our power shall stand forever. O Zion, that bring good tidings, get you up into the high mountain, O Jerusalem, that bring good tidings, lift up your voice in strength. Lift it up, be not afraid. Say to the cities of Yehudah, behold my power, behold your power. Behold, Master Yahweh will come and strong with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall greatly lead those that are with young. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and meted out Shemaim with the span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance? Who has directed the Ruach of Yahweh, or being his counselor has taught him? With whom took he counsel, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of right ruling, and taught him knowledge, and showed him the way of understanding? Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the smallest dust of the balance. Behold, he takes up the isles as a very little thing. And Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast there sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. To whom then will you liken El? Or what likeness will you compare to him? The workman melts a graven image, and the goldsmith spreads it over with gold, and casts silver chains. He that is so impoverished that he has no offering chooses a tree that will not rot. He seeks to him a cunning workman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he that sits upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants there are as grasshoppers, that stretch out the Shemaim as a curtain, and spreads them out as a tent to dwell in, that brings the princes to nothing. He makes the judges of the earth as vanity. Yes, they shall not be planted. Yes, they shall not be sown. Yes, their stock shall not take root in the earth. And he shall also blow upon them, and they shall wither, and the whirlwind shall take them away as stubble. To whom then will you liken me, or shall I be equal? Says the set apart one. Lift up your eyes on high, and behold, who has created these things, that brings out their armies by number. He calls them all by names by the greatness of his might, for that he is strong in power. Not one fails. Why say you, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel? My way is not hid from Yahweh, and my right ruling is passed over from my power. Have you not known? Have you not heard that the everlasting Elohim, Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, faints not, neither is he weary? There is no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the weary, and to them that have no might he increases strength. Even the youth shall weary and be weary, and the young man shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not be weary. All right, and that will conclude today's Torah Parsha for the Shabbat, July 25th, 2026. It was Ve'ek Hanan, Deuteronomy chapter 3 through verses 7 through chapter 7 verse 11, and then it was Isaiah chapter 40 verse 1 through 20. So 1 through 31. All right, so I hope I was able to edify you guys today in today's Parsha. This afternoon class, in the morning class, we have Moreh Shael, and he went more into the Hebrew of today's Parsha. And the afternoon class was the English version of the Parsha, which I'll do. And we do this weekly, every Shabbat, every Ha-Shabbat, the Shabbat, every Ha-Shabbat Yom, every Shabbat day. We do this morning time. Moreh Shael does that portion. In the afternoon, me, Moreh Araya, I do the afternoon portion where we read from the English. Wednesdays, we have our midweek lesson. All right, our midweek lesson. I didn't record the midweek lesson from this past week, but I'm going to redo it and record it and put it up. It'll probably be up tomorrow. It was on 1 Kings chapter 12, 13, and 14. And I'll go ahead and record that midweek lesson and put it up, because I got a lot of compliments about it. A lot of people was asking for a replay or whatnot. So I'm going to replay that and record that and put that up. Today's lesson is being recorded. It will be up here in a few minutes. So you can have something to listen to while you're at work, working, or just working out, or whatever it is you're doing with your day. And if you're looking for those that are watching, that will watch this replay on YouTube, if you're looking for a home, and if you like what you heard or whatnot, and you like the way that we teach or whatnot, reach out to us. This is the House of Wisdom Shabbat class, and we can get you into our Discord. We do teach all of our members biblical Hebrew. We do that for free. We don't charge. We have all kinds of resources available inside of our Discord, and we do biblical Hebrew classes on Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Time, and I get it, that is 5:30 West Coast time. And then we do the makeup class on Sundays, which is the first day at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 12 noon Pacific Time. Okay, so if you want to come and learn biblical Hebrew, reach out to us. We'll get you in the Discord. Or if you're just looking for a home and you like the teachings and this and that, reach out to us and we'll get you the link to the Discord, and we'll get you into the Discord where you can start looking at some of the resources that we have and start listening to some of our teachings that we have from me and from the other Morehs that we have up under the House of Wisdom. Okay, so again, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Shabbat day. Get some rest, and may the Most High increase and bless each and every one of you with a sound mind, with wisdom, and with knowledge. Okay, and may He protect you from the evil spirits and principalities that seek to do you harm. All right, lehitorot, mispaka. Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. All right, shalom, shalom.
Bakanish beaderto, yish beabegaloge gumin. Genesh hacho katarota arushanoto.